Tommy Boyds Show. The show with more endurance than radiation itself.
You say either, and I say either.
Apparently official. Stand by, please.
Tommy Boyds.
Apparently official.
Have you no compassion?
Stand by, please.
Let's rehang the pictures from the gallery of life.
There's no escaping here.
Tommy Boyds.
Good morning. I spent a quarter of an hour this morning pulling down my email, 14 messages. This may not be something you know much about, in which case it would be a good idea to pin your ears back, because there's something coming, there's something brewing. I think I'll probably be the first to actually punt it out, and it'll be interesting to see what people have to say about it. But one of the things that I've noticed from the email is that nobody bothers with spelling, or punctuation or grammar, come to that. And yet I find the messages on the email very easy to read, very accessible, very friendly. I've never had to reread a sentence because I don't know what it means. I get all the spellings. I get all the spellings as easily as I get spellings that are correctly spelt. And on the email, you don't have to spell correctly. There is no teacher. There is no secretary checking your work. You write what you want. Email is written lowercase e hyphen lowercase m mail. Email, written lowercase. Everything's lowercase. So there are hardly any capitals used on the email, and so what? So what? When I see London written, I don't say to myself with a small letter, I don't say to myself, and you wouldn't say to yourself, what? What word is that? What? It must be the city, and it can't be, because it can't be a place. It hasn't got a capital letter. You don't think that. You just know it means London. And nobody on the email uses a capital I for themselves. They all use a lowercase I. And the point is this, I don't have any difficulty with it, even though I'm a former English teacher. Well, once a teacher, always a teacher, you know. I mean, I believe in standards, I believe in good communication, but what I'm noticing is that it is no longer cool to spell correctly. If you spell properly, if you construct grammatically correct sentences, if you punctuate properly, okay, you're a fuddy-duddy. You're old hat. You're out of the loop. You belong to a dying generation. You know, thanks for the memory. Good spelling, good grammar, proper punctuation. But it ain't going to happen no more. And that is how they talk. It ain't going to happen no more. That is acceptable. Good grammar on the email. It's dynamic. You know exactly what it means. It's street. It's the street. Free call 0500 10 53 89. I'm yet to make up my mind, though, on whether or not this is a good thing. This is a wonderful thing, because I remember being taught when I was training to be an English teacher that people who understand spelling, people who understand grammar, are going to learn how to organise their minds if they learn how to speak and write correctly. And yet there's something so dynamic about the way it works on the email. The way people communicate using the language as they would use the language if they were speaking is not only more immediate, you know, darn it, it's friendlier. It's friendlier than a letter from your Auntie Maisie in Lowestoft, which is constructed correctly, but doesn't have the usual wonderful verbal diarrhea that she has when she speaks. So it isn't her, in a sense. You can't criticize the email for that. It's perfect. If there is an official way of spelling on the email, by the way, as you would expect, it is American. English is the universal language of computers, but American English is the universal way of spelling English and the universal way of utilizing English grammatically. And where it's important, my good friend listening to this program, is this. When you eventually get your email, if you haven't already got it, when you eventually hook up, and believe me, it's fantastic. You can send 150 letters for 0.2 of a penny. You're going to have to construct your letters so they're badly spelled and badly expressed, because otherwise you're going to cut yourself out as a crumbly. And on the email, nobody knows how old you are until they see what you write. Free call 0500 10:53:89. Spelling. It's on the way out. And the same goes for punctuation and grammar. And I'm on the cusp with this one, but I'm beginning to think, I don't mind. In fact, I'm beginning to think, hallelujah. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening. Start your day.
It is my responsibility to enforce all the laws that haven't been passed yet.
Teachers would welcome it if we did away with rigid spelling rules and rules of punctuation and grammar. It would make their marking a lot easier, and they could concentrate on the important thing, which is getting children to express valuable thoughts. Jane calls from Gosport. Jane, you're on Talk Radio. Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Jane, I'm fine. How are you?
I'm okay, thank you.
Good.
I just wanted to say that I think that if you can spell properly, you should. That I don't think it's cool not to spell wrongly.
Are you on the email?
Incorrectly. I'm not.
Are you struggling here a bit? Don't worry, this show is not going to pull you up if you express yourself incorrectly. Only if you talk rubbish.
Well, I don't think I'm talking rubbish.
How is your spelling?
I'm an alright speller. I don't think I try as well as I should, but I shall make an effort after your show.
How do you spell idiosyncratically?
I don't have a clue.
No, but you know the word.
I've heard of it before.
You know what the word means?
No.
Idiosyncrasy? Do you know what an idiosyncrasy? Yeah, you do.
No, I don't. I've heard of it before. I've never...
Well, let's try acceleration then.
Acceleration.
Did you spell acceleration?
A-C-C-E-L-A-C-I-O-N?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Listen.
This is so much for my education, isn't it?
No. What's happened that I don't like is this. You see, if you were writing a piece in an exam, say, and you came to the word acceleration, you wanted to say acceleration. You wanted to say there was an acceleration in your intelligence.
Yeah.
Okay. You'd worry about spelling it, wouldn't you?
Yes.
So you wouldn't use it, would you?
I think I would have a go. It depends how important the piece I was writing was.
Well, what a lot of people do is instead of using the word that is right for the piece, because they're not convinced they know how to spell it, they dumb their essay down and they say things like speeding up.
Yeah, that's what I don't agree with. I really don't. I think that it doesn't say much for you and for your personality that you can't be bothered to try. I think that you should.
No, if you're in an exam, how do you try? You either can spell a word or you can't. Trying doesn't get you anywhere.
Well, if the markers can see that you've made an effort, I think it makes a difference.
Okay, how do you know whether the marker is somebody who will put a big mark against you for spelling accelerator wrong, or a marker who will say, oh, she's tried with acceleration, so I'll mark her up for that? How do you know? Do you know?
Well, this should be fair.
Do you know?
No, I don't know.
No.
Well...
But if you could spell accelerating any way you wanted, you'd write it, wouldn't you, every time?
Oh, definitely.
And that's my point, in a nutshell. I think I've made my mind up. Spelling doesn't matter. Here's Nigel in Gloucestershire. Nigel, you're on Talk Radio.
Oh, hello. I'm not going to start writing bad English simply because it's supposed to be cool at the moment. I don't think one can tell how old someone is by how they write English. I'm 24, and I tend to write grammatically, as do most of the people I know, who are mostly my age, of course. And I think the sort of thing you were talking about might be all right for reading emails, but you'd find it quite irritating if you were reading a decent book, wouldn't you? In fact, one probably couldn't write a decent book like that. No one's tried.
Have you read The Colour Purple?
No.
Have you read The Bone People?
By Thomas Kenny, is that? No, I haven't.
Have you read Train Spotting?
No, I haven't.
Oh dear. These are all...
Well, you see, Tommy...
Can I finish the sentence? Because
Oh,
you don't
certainly,
know...
I'm sorry.
Or do you know what point I was making?
No, I don't.
Well, then why didn't you want to hear what it was?
Because I just thought of something appropriate to say.
Well, if you're as clever as you like to sound, then all you have to do is remember what it was and say it when this point has been exhausted. But all of those books are written using the language which the author speaks in their own mind to themselves and is spelled accordingly.
I've read another book by Thomas Kenny, and that was written in what one would call orthodox English. The point I was about to make was that it really depends upon what cultural framework one exists in. If one has no culture, other than pop culture, then bad English is sufficient. But if one exists
No, you
outside...
see, your culture, your intellectual culture has been the intolerant one down the centuries. Your intellectual academic culture has tried to impose its own rigid rules and laws on people who either were not able to sustain them or people who chose to fight against them. But you always won. That the glory of 1998, Sunbeam, is
please don't call
you're on your way out.
Please don't call me Sunbeam and drop the low-level triumphalism because you don't know that you've won this battle yet. As for my culture being...
Let me put it this way, Sunbeam, the standard is flapping.
As for my culture being intolerant, maybe one should be intolerant of that which is to be deplored.
Well,
And
we're
if
going to be intolerant of you just as soon as we win. And we're going to win.
If you win...
We're going to win.
If you win,
Yeah.
the fruits of victory will turn to ashes in your mouth. When you said that you used to be an English teacher, frankly, I wouldn't think it. I don't much like the quality of your English, and I don't much like the quality of your thought.
When you write for a job and you write a grammatically correct letter for a job, okay?
Yeah.
In the future, you won't get it.
I'm sure I will.
Because we don't want people like you.
What you want, I might say that, as a matter of fact, I'm still part of the elite that rules this country, and I don't want people like you. As I was saying before you so rudely interrupted me, I don't like the quality of your English, and I don't like the quality of your thought. You're simply part of the trash of pop culture.
And why do you use the
aren't
word don't instead of do not?
Don't be silly.
Why do you use a streetwise word like don't instead of do not?
You're being silly.
I'm asking you a question. I would like you to answer why you said don't instead of do not.
Drop the Schoolmaster Act. You're not better
I want
educated.
to know your answer to a question.
I'm not going to give you answers to questions.
Can you answer the question?
You are not a schoolmaster, and I am not a third former,
Is
and
it
you will not
because
talk
you're
to
not
me like
clever
that.
enough to know what you actually think yourself?
No,
And I probably know more about what you think than you do.
No, it's because I don't permit myself to be interrogated by semi-literates like you.
Do not permit myself.
I'll say don't again.
It's a colloquialism. It's a colloquialism, man.
I would write do not. I say don't.
You're
being
queering your own pitch. What are you doing?
silly. You're being silly and trivial. Don't presume to lecture me.
Do you know what the word trivial means?
Of course I know what the word trivial
What does
means.
the word trivial mean?
Of no significance, petty, of no importance.
Would you like to know what the word trivial really means?
But I know, I've just told you what it really means.
Would you like to know what it really means, young man?
I've just told you what it really means.
You're wrong. Would you like to know what trivial really means?
You tell me what you think it means, and I'll meanwhile reach for the concise Oxford Dictionary, and then we'll agree on it, shall we?
By all means, but do come back, because not only will my definition be correct, it'll be more interesting than yours.
Well, I'm looking... It's not a question of which is the most interesting, but which is correct. I'm looking through the dictionary now, so we should have an interesting point here, shouldn't we?
What are you looking for?
Trivial.
No, what are you looking for?
I'm looking for a proper definition of the word trivial.
We're not discussing the definition. I asked the meaning.
Oh, one arrives at the meaning by defining it. One can't have meaning without definition.
No, that's wrong, you say.
No, it isn't wrong.
The meaning depends on the origin.
Oh, I see. Oh, you want me to give you the derivation of it?
Yes.
Oh, well, that's what you should have said then.
And it is?
It's Latin, for a start. Well, actually, I'm cheating now because I've got it in front of me.
It's Greek, but never mind.
It's not, it's Latin.
It's Greek?
It's Latin. Trivialis. Common taste.
Yes.
Trivial.
Yes.
You see, I said you were semi-literate.
Right. Shall I explain what it is?
No, I don't want you explaining things to me because you have a weakness.
But it was a word that you used, and I'm not sure if you know what it is, and I'm going to tell the listener anyway, because it's very interesting. In Greek schools, they had 7 subjects. 4 of those subjects were science subjects. 3 of those subjects were arts subjects. Students had to, at the age of 14, choose whether to concentrate on the 4 sciences or the 3 arts. It was considered in Greek colleges of the day that science was more important than art, and therefore the quadria, were considered important, the sciences. The arts, which is what are important enough for us to be discussing this afternoon, were called the trivia.
Why so on?
Yes?
Oh, please, I'd like to tell you something that's very important for your mental health. Would you please drop this schoolmaster fantasy of addressing other people as though you were more intelligent and more knowledgeable than they were, because you're not. I've heard you say exactly that before.
Then why have you forgotten it?
I hadn't forgotten this. I was just waiting for you to come out with all the games before.
Not a very good pupil. I'm
Your
going to have to ask you to come back at 4 o'clock and we'll discuss it.
You are.
I don't want you to insult me.
You are a low-level
No, I'm sorry.
megalomaniac. You're cutting me off because you're not capable of talking.
No, I'm cutting you off for 2 reasons. One, because it's 3:21 and we've got some commercials to play, but mostly because...
You are a low-level, half-educated egomaniac.
All the theatre I can from you.
You are a histrionic character by nature.
And
your entire show consists of nothing but theatre. You're semi-hysterical. Am I still on? I'll go on and on if you wish.
Have you got a girlfriend?
Yeah, thank you.
Just wondered. Free call 0500 10 53 89. We're discussing the future of spelling. It's on the way out if computers are anything to go by. And the fact of the matter is, once you've seen how it works, this new can't spell, won't spell, you find yourself saying, so what? Free call 0500 10 53 89. And the same goes for grammar and punctuation. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening.
5 Cuthbert 6 Dibble 7
Boyd.
1 2 3 4.
Soaking wet here after that gumming from Nigel. Mark calls from Birmingham. Mark.
Tommy, this geezer's got the brain of he's got the voice of a 60-year-old, the brain of a 24-year-old, trapped inside the body of a 9-year-old. The guy is quite mad.
Tommy's getting about dirty.
Here's Kevin in Bury. Thank you, Mark. Kevin, you're on Talk Radio.
Say that, Tommy. We've been doing it for years.
What's this, my friend?
Oh, the grammar on the email and the non-spelling and the mistakes. We've been doing it for years.
Yes, but it's only recently that influential people like me have found it.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Yes.
Yeah, here's some examples like, the word or, spelled with 7 O's and 4 H's.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Wow.
4 by 4 dots.
And I also like the way most emails are signed off with something like cheers.
Yeah.
Or see ya.
It's excellent.
It's great. It's how people talk.
Where's this one? How you did win What's It Says.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a group of us, Teacher What's It Society. We're famous for a brief while at university.
Kevin, thank you for your call. Danny is next in Essex. Danny, you're on Talk Radio.
Tommy, it's not about being cool, it's about being practical. I've had email now for about 2 years, something like that. And I used to be like you, spelling's very important, do all the capital I's, and then you realise that there's no point, it's hassle. It's a big hassle pressing shift on the keyboard and getting all your I's capital, getting all your full stops, your commas. There's no point, you're online, you're spending money, it's costing money whilst you're typing, you just got to get on with it. And I think, people think to themselves, oh, they're trying to be cool, but no, not at all, it's just practical, it's speed.
Okay, I'll take your point. That's a very good point and very well made. And there's nothing wrong with being cool. But when you point out that what you're doing is being practical, this is the voice of the future speaking, and it's you, Danny, in Essex.
That's it. I mean, I haven't got time to, go back and reread my emails. You send it, that's it, done. And that's what it's about. It's about
you,
speed.
in other words, you are a shiftless person.
Exactly. I mean, if you're going to go and check your spelling, you're going to make sure your punctuation is perfect, you may as well write a letter and send it, there's no point.
It's a very liberated environment, because when I bang off emails to, reply to all,
sure.
And there's a word in there I don't know how to spell, I think to myself, good. It will show that I am on their side.
Exactly. Who cares? I'll tell you one thing that really annoys me as well, which I've been getting. Because, you can actually send programs with emails, okay? And then so what you end up, you go and check your emails, like you said, you had 14 this morning.
Yes.
Yeah, and I get that as well. And it says 14 emails coming through. They come through in seconds. All of a sudden, you've got one, and you're waiting for like 10 minutes, and you're waiting, and you're waiting, and you're waiting.
Yeah.
You haven't got time to wait, and you realise it's a friend of yours. They sent you like a picture, or they sent you a completely useless program.
A complete set of FTP files.
Yeah, exactly.
Fantastic.
Or a great big joke. Waste of time, Tommy. Waste of time.
Danny, he will one day rule the world.
Tommy Boyd.
Here's Dee. Endorse it, Dee.
Tommy, hasten the revolution, Tommy. If that man is part of the elite that rules this country, honestly, I'm absolutely flabbergasted at his arrogance.
Unbelievable, wasn't it? Didn't we draw him out well?
Oh, beautifully. And another thing, Tommy, he obviously he's listened to you before. So why is he still listening if it's so beneath him?
Well, it's all the communication some lonely souls get. There's the first point.
I know. But regarding spelling, Tommy, this has let me down many times. I've sat exams and I haven't been confident about my spelling, so when it's come to the part, well, it was simple exams like typing and things like that, I was very slow because I was worried about my spelling. And it has let me down. And really, as long as we can make sense of what's written.
It's just another way that the grammar school oiks have of constantly rubbing the working class's noses in their poor upbringing. That's all it is. It's like the Masons, it's like rugby union, it's like game pie, the whole thing. It's a class thing.
Well,
Class thing.
it's the elite, Tommy. We've heard a classic example of the elite of this country. And I can't really claim to be... I had a pretty good education, but spelling was still one of my downfalls.
Yes.
You know? And do you know what?
Well, there are diseases now.
Well,
which are...
Tommy, rather than listen to that man or read anything he's written, I would much rather read something written from the heart by any of my grandchildren.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Dee. Beautifully put. Beautifully put. Sometimes a child is trying to tell you a story, and some adult in the room will start correcting the child on his or her grammar. Oh. There are words falling from these adults' mouths like dead leaves. As if Nigel has a ghost. Ah! Here's Mark, he calls from Warwick.
Hello.
Yo, Mark.
Yo. I think it'll actually be brilliant in the because I'm dyslexic, and the amount of trouble that I've had over the years, and my sons are having, because it's hereditary down the male line, it would make our lives so much easier. The exams, what we could achieve. Because we've just been held back through spelling.
Yeah, and one of the great books of the 20th century was A Clockwork Orange.
Yeah.
And in A Clockwork Orange, all the characters in A Clockwork Orange speak the kind of way in which we will speak in a few years' time. And it's spelt that way.
Yeah.
And you and I would equally find it easy to read and understand what they were saying and duplicate the way in which they speak, because there are no rules.
I mean, it's just with the dyslexia, because we're highly intelligent people, so they say.
Often.
But we just can't put it down on a piece of paper to tell someone how good we are.
Cliff Richard.
Yeah.
The girl who presents You've Been Framed.
You just don't know how frustrating it is.
Thank you for your call. Free call 0500 10 53 89.
Genius without perseverance is short-term success.
Frank is on the line from Essex. Frank, good afternoon.
Hi, Tommy. Good afternoon to you. I listening to your argument with the infamous Nigel there, and read that he's actually right. It is Latin. It's not Greek.
No, it is Greek.
No, it's not.
No, I'm sorry, it's Greek, mate.
Well, if you want to go to the pure etymon of the word...
I do.
It's trivia. Three-where.
Yes.
And where it comes from, Tommy, is...
Yes.
In ancient Rome, there was a crossroads. A crossroads of sorts.
Yeah, this is going to get very dry and dusty in a second, isn't it?
No, it's not. Where people used to meet to discuss and exchange gossip.
Oh, please,
and that's
don't
where
tell
it
us the
came
whole story,
from, Tommy,
Frank.
you see.
Have you ever seen Cheers?
Trivia, because it was pure gossip.
Have you got a moustache like Cliffy?
Pardon me?
What? What?
Well, come back with your Greek theory then.
Not now, Frank. Not now.
That's wrong, isn't it? You were completely wrong, and Nigel was right.
No.
You let yourself down.
Never.
There you have it, Tommy.
Would you like to learn something as well?
Well, if you could possibly teach me, I would be very thankful.
Where did you get this information?
Well, it's well known. I mean, I thought a man of your great knowledge and understanding would have
Frankie
known this rather than going around with a complete misconception as long as you have.
Frank, if you're going to complete...
And not only that, Tommy, I mean, being a teacher... If
you're going to insist on completing your sentences, can you make them worth hearing? If you're going to insist on completing your sentences, can you make them interesting enough for us to hang in there until you get to your full stop? Because mine are.
Please continue.
If you're going to complete your sentences, make them worth hearing.
Oh, well, I thought they were being short and concise and punchy, Tommy, and getting to the point, which is back to your email thing.
So, you're the origin of your knowledge of the
No, not
origin
my knowledge.
of the word
The
trivia
word, yeah.
is that it's common knowledge, isn't it?
Well,
It's like the taxi driver who says it's a well-known fact.
no, well,
It's a well-known fact. It's a well-known fact. It's a well-known fact, Governor. I had that Barbara Windsor in the cab the other day.
Well, I don't come out with this nonsense that it's Greek, because, I mean, you honestly didn't know whether it was Greek or not. And being a former teacher, I mean, you have absolutely no grounding in the classic languages, do you?
It was used by...
You should have picked that up very quickly.
Yeah, you're right.
Try,
I'm very
dear.
stupid.
My
I'm very
God.
stupid. Did you know what trivial was before I told you?
Of course I did.
Oh.
Well, I've just explained it to you. You didn't know. You thought it was Greek, and you thought it explained the 7 classics, which is completely wrong.
No, that's true. And I think that's very
Well,
interesting.
okay. Well, thanks very much for admitting that you were wrong.
Did I do that?
Yes, I think you just have.
Well, I didn't get rid of you.
I'm sure you're going to try to talk your way out of it.
No, I'm not.
I think the good listener will realise that you have just, perhaps for the first time, admitted that you were wrong.
No, I haven't.
Not only that, I think you should make an apology to your former students for giving them that duff information in the first place. And not only that, an apology to Nigel.
The thing about Frank is that he thinks if he keeps talking, he's going to bore me into submission.
Okay, Tommy, I can let you off with that one. Let's hope he's not listening, eh?
But he's not. Carry on, Frank, because it's fascinating.
No, that's all I have to say, Tommy.
Oh, no, Frank, don't go.
I just wanted to put you right, and now I've put you right. I'm quite happy.
Right.
The only thing, it's a pity it's not Friday and it's the one.
No, good go. Now, the thing about the word trivial, and this is, I think, it's wonderful to discover that the Greeks who used the word to describe half of their schools, the Greeks decided that language is trivial, you see. So if I could be bothered, all right, there's something deliciously self-impaling about Frank and Nigel arguing that language isn't trivial, when in fact, since the Greeks decided that language was literally trivial, it is. Do you see that?
No, but...
No, you're not very clever, really, are you? Let's have somebody clever on. How about Hugh in Swindon? Good afternoon, Hugh.
All right.
I'm sorry about all these old farts that we get on. Nigel and...
It's terrible, isn't it?
And that bloke, Frank. Two lonely old people. Do you believe, Hugh, that a man called Frank could be 32?
Frank? Doesn't that rhyme with something? Isn't that rhyming slang?
I don't know, mate. I'm not a proper Cockney.
All right, not got past over that one. Spelling, grammar, language is all evolutionary, isn't it? Because if somebody at school handed in an essay written in terms of Chaucer,
yes,
they hand it back to them. They say, "What's this nonsense? What's this garbage?"
So true. So true.
It's a living thing. It moves forward all the time.
Organic is what we're...
Absolutely, and the clarity of the message is all important. If you make yourself clear and understood, and everybody can understand what you're putting down on paper, whether it's correct or not, it doesn't matter. Just make the point and you move on, don't you?
It's like some songs. When you listen to a great song, you don't want to know all the words and check that they're all correct so that you can get the meaning of the thing. What's happening is that somebody is singing their heart out and their spirit is on their tongue, and, you know, you can taste it, as long as you're not trying to plot your way through the academia of the lyrics.
Absolutely. Shakespeare spelled his name at least 2 different ways.
Did he?
He wasn't worried about it.
And you know what always lets Freud down?
Go on.
He thought that Shakespeare was a Frenchman called Jacques Pierre.
Right, it was like the Francis Bacon thing and all that. Who really wrote them, you mean?
Yeah. And I always think that demeans a man of Freud's intellect, that he could come up with something so sort of Miss Marple as that. Hugh, thank you for your call.
Not a problem.
Mind you, not many young men are called Hugh these days, so I shouldn't really have gone down that road with him. Hannah is on the line now from Bristol. Hannah.
Hi.
Good afternoon.
Hi, I have a confession to make. I used to be a bit like Nigel once.
Yes.
But I got better. What happened was my daughter at 6 years old couldn't read. And that was very frustrating. And I thought she ought to be able to read because I used to be able to read very well. And I mean, I didn't have an education. I was brought up in care and moved around all the time. And I just taught myself by reading. So I thought reading was like really important, and being able to spell properly and structure sentences correctly, all this kind of stuff. And it was totally destroying my daughter's confidence.
Yeah.
And anyway, her teacher kept having a go at me about her reading and stuff. And in the end, I consulted my friend, who at the time was a special needs teacher. And she said, look, Jenny understands, you know, the written word. She just would rather make up her own stories to fit the pictures, she said. And I think that it would be important not to stifle that. And I realised she was right. And so I didn't stifle her. When she was 9, and we'd moved away from there, we'd moved out to the country, she won the Curriculum Award for English with a poem that was really actually badly written, according to what Nigel would think and what I used to think. And I realised then how unimportant all these things are. It is nonsensical.
Absolutely.
To criticise these things, because in the end you just alienate people. But not only that, you stifle creativity.
Totally right.
And
So
I just realised then that I'd been wrong, and it was a hard lesson to learn, but I'm glad I learned it. And now I don't alienate so many of my friends. But
Well,
that's not wrong.
they're having a party in heaven, Hannah. I can't remember how the full thing goes, but apparently they get more excited if someone repents.
Absolutely. Well, I'm training to be a priest, so I know all about that.
Well, hallelujah. Hallelujah. The language is meant to be a dance, and we who speak to each other are a troupe of dancers. But the academics and the intellectuals and the upper middle classes and the Roger Scrutons are turning all our children into a battalion of robotic, autonomous, goose-stepping morons puppeteering their way across the Rhineland. Oh, well, that's not that bad, but you know what I'm saying. It's annoying. Erin calls from the Forest of Dean. Erin, good afternoon.
Hi, Tommy.
Hello.
I was wondering if you could help me with my English homework, which I'm finding very difficult because it's full of horrible words, and we have to draft out the story, and then we have to check it for punctuation and mark it ourselves, and then I thought that was the job of the teacher anyway. So then we have to copy it out in neat.
Well, don't do it.
I know, I'm just going straight. I've written half the story in class, and I'm going straight on to neat now.
Wow. What was happening if you didn't do it?
I don't know.
You can always find out. I was going to sort of say, I'm not doing this, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. I mean, they could only tell you it wasn't and give you a low mark. Would it be worth trying? Have you ever done anything radical like that?
Well, yes, sometimes I've left my homework really late.
Yeah. But you've never actually gone in with the argument tucked under your arm, which is...
No.
What's the point of me doing this? Why don't you go in? Well, look, I tell you what, do it. Do the work, okay? All right. But go in and say you haven't and ask the teacher what the heck is the point of you doing that, and see how good they are at explaining to you how beneficial it will be. Because tell them that on the email, and that's the future, it doesn't matter. Do it.
Can you help me spell a word, Tommy?
Yes, of course.
Can you spell luscious?
Luscious?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I would change it to beautiful, because I can spell that. Luscious.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Right. And I thought of another argument, actually, while I was waiting on the phone.
Easily done.
There's all these words in the English language, like Queen used to be spelt KW by the Celts, but it was changed by the French. And lots of these languages, like Latin, are long dead anyway now, and that have influenced our spelling and our language. And if English is the language of the future, these other languages, like French, are going to be dead soon.
Dead and buried. Dead and
Why
buried.
don't we spell how we want?
It's a drum I've been banging on this programme for a long time. I don't know why our children have to... Thank you, Erin, for your call. I don't know why our children have to go to school and learn French and German and these languages, because they will be absolutely stone dead, dead as Welsh, in a matter of 10 or 15 years. You know it, I know it. So why don't we teach our children English in the lessons where they would have been learning French or German? That will at least give our children a bit of a march on the continentals. Seriously. Free call 0500 10 53 89. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio.
Why not phone up Tommy now and tell him what a jug-headed, peanut-brained, weasel-faced, fourth magnitude misfit from the 70s he is on free call 0500 10 53 89.
The way we spell, the way we teach people to spell is doomed. And I'm not just saying it, it's a fact, and it's got 2 to 5 years max. If you hop on the email, it's so vigorous. But nobody spells, nobody uses uppercase. I is the I with a dot over it. They don't use punctuation marks except the odd full stop. And one understands perfectly what they mean. One understands better what they mean when they write, these young people on the email, than when you get a letter from Auntie Rose in Lowestoft, which is grammatically correct but impenetrable. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Get that? Could be a good call. Meanwhile, it's Jonathan in Swansea. You're on Talk Radio, Jonathan.
Hi, Tommy. Look, what would happen if all the players on a football pitch suddenly decided to play by their own rules? There'd be chaos, wouldn't there? Absolute chaos. Now, the same applies to language. Unless we all follow common rules that we all agree with, then there's no, we failed, haven't we? We lose the communication ability.
Well, you've lost it, haven't you? You know, how come is it that everybody who sees the light can communicate like a dream, and everybody who disagrees is really sort of struggling to put sentences together because they're so worried about getting a sentence wrong, and I'm going to go, aha, got you. Which I'm not.
Well, I must admit, it's my first call, so I'm a bit nervous.
All right, well, fair enough. That's fair dues. I understand that. I phone other phone-in programmes as a punter from time to time to remind myself of how nerve-wracking it is. Because it's the wait, isn't it, before you come on that gets you nervous, yes. Oh, well, I'll forgive you that.
But if you say that we can abandon any rules and write however we want,
yes,
unless that's common amongst us all, how do we decipher?
Well, look, mate, it works. You see, people like me, I'm an anarchist. I believe in trusting people to get it right. And more or less, most of the time, we do, you see. And when you hop on... Are you on the email?
I am, yes.
Yeah, well, you've seen some of the stuff on the email, haven't you?
Yes.
Well, you understand it, don't you?
Well, sometimes, yes.
Yeah, and then you do. You do understand it, mate.
But only because it's the exception of the rule.
No, but you understand it.
Yes.
And you get a picture of the person who's issuing it. When you see how they use the language, you understand them better for the fact that they express themselves without rules than if they conform to a set of rules. Because all you get when you get somebody who has written to you and conformed to all the rules is the rules. You see my point?
Yes, but if you allow the rules to be suspended absolutely, then... I'm having difficulty articulating this, but...
I wouldn't worry about it. I trust humanity. We're not a bad lot. We generally get it right. And I think really probably we've abided by these rules for too long. But, you know, the children are out on the streets now. They've got Molotov cocktails, albeit plastic bottles and lemonade. And they'll have their way, and that's quite... And there's nothing we can do about it, so it'd be futile to resist. We have to be a twig on the back of a stream, my friend. Enjoy the view.
Okay, Tommy.
Hey, you call again sometime.
Thanks, Tommy.
Nice to talk to you. I'm from Wales, where they spell every single word differently. They do. Not a lot of them do. They spell every single... And they don't even spell Wales, W-A-L-E-S. They spell it C-Y-M-R-U. How's that for original spelling? But I wasn't going to kebab him because he was a nice boy. And he had that frog in his throat. Paul is on the line from Stafford. Paul, good afternoon.
Hi, Tommy.
Hi, Paul.
Tommy, I was just ringing in saying what a fantastic programme. Sounds brilliant.
Thank you.
Sounds like your own fun.
Thank you.
Not only that, but my main point is that I'm a very successful salesman in Stafford and can't spell to save my life.
T-O... No, cheap joke, cheap joke, cheap joke, cheap joke. Cheap joke. No, because you communicate, don't you, Paul?
You've got it in one.
You use words.
Absolutely.
And you're a nice guy.
Very nice guy. Two lovely girls. My wife teaches them to spell. I don't need to.
Those are the things that are important in life, aren't they, Paul? Thank you for your call.
My pleasure.
Thank you for your call. There should be virtue in everything that everyone says. And the punctuation, the grammar, the spelling of it matters not a jot. There should be virtue in every single remark that is ever uttered, especially if it's said, but also if it's written down. There should be a rule about that. Virtue in language, yeah? Free call 0500 10 53 89. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening.
Don't forget to subscribe and like. Comment too if you wish. Even slap your legs and make a purchase from Ann Summers. But don't do nothing.